don't overthink it. It's not hard as people think it is. A lot of people try to think, oh my goodness, I have to think about this thing. I have to think about this thing. It's not as hard.
A podcast hosted by Joe Dietrich, Joe on the Mic, Leader Talk, tackles various leadership strategies that cover self-development, self-leadership, including spiritual and physical health of leaders. This podcast will feature guests ranging from military leaders, thought leaders, health and nutrition leaders, spiritual leaders, nonprofit leaders, and many more. Hey guys, just remember we're talking about finances real quick in this episode, and all information and content on this podcast from this website or from Green Monster Investments LLC should be viewed as educational only. And make sure you go over all the disclosures at the end of this podcast for investments and financial matters. Guys, welcome to the podcast. We have Fordson Labady. He gave me permission to call him Ford. He was born in Haiti and raised in Miami, Florida. I'm from South Florida as well. From a young age, he believed there was more. After high school, like most individuals, Ford did not know where he wanted to go in life. He switched majors in colleges, left and right, like anybody can count. Later, Ford joined the military, and that's how we met up, searching for something more and different. It was not until he met a young lady by the name of Karen, I think I'm pronouncing that right, yeah. who briefly mentioned the stock market. And he thought, hey, what is that all about? The first person Fordson read about was Warren Buffett. And going to the library every chance he had to understand what investing, after buying himself some books, going on YouTube, paying for classes, he fell in love with the stock market. It was a love at first sight. Seeing the value in it, Ford decided everyone must know about investing. 10 years later, Ford started his company, which we're going to talk about later on, Green Monster Investments, teaching people about investing in the stock market and what they should be looking for when investing. I mean, how long has it been, man, since we...
military?
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like forever.
Yeah, it does.
I'm like, wow.
Man, because did you come in right after high school?
No. After high school, I went to college and then went to Miami-Dade College.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically in that little limbo where you don't know where you want to be at. Everybody telling you, go into nursing or medical field, go into law enforcement or lawyer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You just switching. My first major was computer engineering, and I went there and I like working with computers even right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody told me, you're gonna be in school forever. I'm like, all right. I switched it and I went to nursing, and I started doing it. I'm like, I don't want to see no blood. and then I was like, I went to law enforcement, and I'm like, it's all right. I don't want to be no cop though. I'm like, it was a weird little journey, especially in learning about myself, basically finding out what's the best course of action, finding out what you're good at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we try to force things are our calling, but we try to force other things. And
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it, man. I get it. And you're speaking truth, because a lot of times, and I figured this out for myself.
Uh-huh.
We grow up, basically the majority of our life growing up, like going through school, whatever, with other people's expectations.
Roger.
Everybody else telling us where to go, where to be, what to do, how to eat. And then when you're released into the world like a wild beast, like what do I do?
Exactly.
Well, that's why I love when I was going into your bio, you kind of broke it down. You broke it down. After high school, you didn't know what to do. You switched majors like crazy. In college, I get it. But yeah, and then you met somebody.
Because I always like talking about money, and from the household I grew up at, because my dad always talked about money and always talked about the value of investing. But all basically he knows was real estate and having your own business. And even with middle school and everything, he always told me, hey, instead of trying to work for somebody else, try to find a way how the money work for you. And the way he always talked about is real estate business, real estate business, real estate business. I'm like, and you know, as a kid, you keep hearing the same thing, but it never kind of like ding. And then I was dating her for a few, and I kept telling her, man, I want to try to save money if I could buy this, if I could buy a property or doing certain things. She's like, you always talk about saving money, and you always talk about saving money. Why don't you look into the stock market instead of the money being in your bank account? And I looked at her like, what language are you speaking? What's the stock market thing? And she was like, yeah, you never heard about the stock market? I'm like, what? You talking about selling chicken, selling something? I'm like, I did. I looked at her like, she was like, no. It's where you buy you invest in companies. And I'm like, how do you invest in them? She's like, and she told me to go to the library and buy this book called Stock Market for Dummies. You know, the little stock market for dummies. And I'm reading it. I'm like, and should I read up on Warren Buffett? And I started literally looking everything he did, basically. And the more I started, the way he talked about investing, about how money worked for you, so about if you ain't sleeping, if you're sleeping in money and you're not producing money, you're not really making money. Because while you're sleeping, you should be making money. While you're awake, you should be making money. I'm like, I like the way this guy think. And from then on, I became like an addict. I had to know more. I wanted to know everything revolving around the stock market. It's like she gave me a little diamond, a little spark, basically, where I was always looking for how to, in a sense, multiply your money, or how to, instead of just having your money in the bank, because I always, there's nothing wrong with having money in your bank, but I believe that the bank system is very disrespectful. Like you have a $10,000-$20,000 in your account, and they're giving you less than $10 a month, or if that, off your money. And some banks actually charge you an interest rate, a fee, just to have your money in your account if you don't reach a certain threshold or balance.
Exactly.
So with all these things, I started digging deeper, and I started slowly finding my passion, and I wanted to know everybody that talk about stock market. I wanted to talk to them. And when I remember being an 856, and I was talking to everybody. I remember, what's his name? Bayham, Braithwaite. I think it's Braithwaite.
Braithwaite.
Yeah, Braithwaite. That's what. Yeah. I remember talking to him. He was like, "Man, you like the Haitian Warren Buffett." I'm like, "That's what I'm trying to be." I'm trying to be. He like, "You always talk about stock market, man." And he was like, I remember he was like, "Man, you working I was working at Camp Blanding.
Yeah.
Like, you at Camp Blanding, you still driving the same car you try." I'm like, you could buy another car, man. Stop driving this little hoopty. I'm like, man, this money is going somewhere else. If I could do other things with it, I'm not worried about what I'm driving. Like, and he was like, and I started talking to everybody. Yo, you heard about the stock market? And everybody's like, man, it's a party. I'm like, yo, the stock market thing is just crazy to me. It was crazy at the time. And I think shortly after, that's when Sergeant Joseph moved into our unit. And then I'm talking to amongst my peers, and I heard him talking to somebody about TSP and investing in the stock market also. I'm like, what? I had to go there. I was like, yo, Sergeant. He like, what's going on? He like, I just heard you say about the stock market and TSP is He like, yeah, you should definitely invest in the TSP. He's like, I invest in the stock market, but TSP is a great start. Yeah. I'm like, what? Really? What you know about the stock market? He like, I've been doing it for years now. For real? I'm like, man, me too. I'm basically brand new to it, but I was telling him, I was mentioning certain stocks that I was looking into at the time, thinking that these were like the best thing, because with my little knowledge, I was trying to basically share everything. If I found a diamond, or if I found like anything, I would basically want to tell everybody so they could join me. You know, like everybody like company. That was the other I wanted to share this thing I found, this thing that somebody brought into my life, and I wanted to share with everybody.
All right, folks, time for a sponsor break. Hey guys, real quick, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain real quick. It's free. Did you hear what I said? It's free to make your podcast. They have creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast. They also have free music that you can use. Not to mention, they will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts for you. All right. And you can also make money from the podcast with minimum listenership. Okay. They have everything that you need. Look, download the app, Anchor, like the anchor on a boat. And the website is anchor.fm. Anchor.fm. Get it. What are you waiting for? Start your podcast now. Do it. Anchor.fm or download it on the app. Talk to you later, guys. All right, back to our episode. Hey, look. Hey, this is Fordson Labady. All right, we met in the military, and I went my way, he went his way, but we still kept in touch. I was still tracking him, and and you know what? He found something he was passionate about, and that's what I love. And look, if you haven't figured out through his story, he did not let anybody dissuade him from pursuing what his passion was. And now he has a Green Monster Investments. All right. And he took it from an idea where somebody just plopped it in his head. And he's like, you know what? I like that. You know what? And I want everybody to know this, as leaders, and because this is leader talk, right? Yep. We're talking about investments. All right. Because investments is something that a lot of people don't know about. But Labady, and he's going to talk about some of his trainings that he does later on in his podcast. He's going to talk to you about what you can do at your level, so you don't have to go through all the books and trainings and everything that he did, that he invested in himself. Because, and I like the way you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that. Like, when you found your passion, you said, I went to the library. You said, I went there and I started reading this book, that book, anything that he can get his hand on, even including paid training, to understand. Because a lot of people don't understand, right? We're talking about investments. Everybody thinks investment, money, right? Money. Yep. But you know what? When you read a book, you're investing in yourself. When you go to paid training, you're investing in yourself.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've learned about from my coaches, from my mentors, and that I'm learning from Fordson here, is that if you don't invest in yourself, there's a problem. Your highest commodity that you have while you're living on this earth is you. And you got to take investment into yourself to go to the next level. Because you can't, in reality, the only person that can lift you up besides Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, because I'm a Christian, is yourself. If you rely on other people to validate you constantly to get you to the next level, you're relying on a source that is depleting, that doesn't appreciate. When we're talking about investments, you know what I'm saying? So I love it. I love your passion. I love what you're doing, and you didn't just take it for yourself. Now you're wanting to train and help others. And let's get real with this here. It's about money, right? But you're not doing it because you love money. You're doing it because it is a tool to use for life.
Exactly.
And can you break it down, I guess, to the audience about what's your thoughts about that?
Basically, for me, it's, even though it is a source of income to train people, I believe this is something that everybody needs to know. Basically, whether you decide to go with me or you decide to go with somebody else, it's like learning how to talk or learning how to walk. I feel like there's a certain area that we as public schools, we're not really taught this part, basically. And because I went through all the pain and the good, the bad, the naysayers and everything else, because you do get some naysayers.
Oh yeah.
I saw a vision in this thing, and I see people that's doing this for a living, where they're leaving a legacy for their family. They're not just turning the wheel and not basically doing the same thing over and over and over. And the reason why I believe that everybody should be investing in their stuff, including and I like your statement, is because I have so much of a passion of this that I was telling you I was doing this for free to everybody, even people that come to me and tell me, "Hey, Ford, I want to join your class." I'm like, "All right." I tell them, "Hey, okay, this is how much I charge for X amount of time." And later they decide not to go with me, and they ask me some questions. I still tell them the answers because I can't, because there's something about this field that I feel like everybody must know, and you have to invest in yourself. Whether you working out, reading a book, paying for classes, going to college, you got to bring it back to yourself basically to be able to spread it out. Okay, it starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything basically starts with you and God basically.
Mm-hmm.
I commend you, and one of my biggest motivator is my sister, because I tell her, man, I don't see nobody that's willing to invest in herself more than anybody I know in this world. And you'll see her on my page. I'll promote her. It's Samantha Liberal. And she basically does, right now she's basically doing the same thing you're doing right now, which is a motivational speaker and podcasting. She just, as of last year, was her biggest year. She's been doing it for 3 years now. She basically been traveling. People been paying her to travel around the world, just speaking about God and motivating females basically. And in the beginning, it was hard for her too, but she paid money that I thought was crazy at the time for instructors and people to teach her and everything else. I'm like, well, if you believe in it, go ahead. And I was telling, man, I'll be your motivator. That's a lot of money, but I'll be your motivator. And now she's reaping the benefits, and she has a passion for Christ and everything else. And she's like my biggest role model, because it doesn't matter what it is. If she sees value in it for herself to build herself another level, whether it's spiritual or physically or even financially, she'll quickly grab on it, no matter what it's worth. Once she obtain that value, it's worth more basically. Like I pay people monthly checks. And that was my last little dime, just to boost myself up basically, because I knew that even though I gave them this $100, $500, whatever it is at that current time, is that once I obtained this information, it's gonna bring me to another level that I could never obtain by myself. I can, but it may be a longer journey.
Yes, you pay for their experience and knowledge to decrease your amount of time
Exactly.
to get to their level. I totally get it. I mean, that's why I love coaching, and that's why I have coaches, and that's why I offer coaching as well, to help people. Because I tell people all the time, I say, look, I offer my 20 years of experience being in the military, being a serial entrepreneur, being a real estate investor, to where I can coach others of the hurdles that I went through to help them build their plans, to strategize, so they don't have to wait 20 years to get that knowledge. Yep. They, like from you, they're going to gain knowledge about investing immediately versus having to, listen to Clubhouse or to listen to some YouTube channels and whatever. But I love it because you have a passion, and you can see the passion. Normally, there's some people they just teach and like, and there's no, they're like, dude, are you like excited about this? I want to have the same kind of passion too, and get that passion from you to learn about investing. Now, speaking about that, all right, we got, let's say we got Joe Snuffy on the street. He's like, hey, I want to learn how to invest. What are some of the, I guess the tips, the investing 101 that you can bring to the table? Let our people know, hey, you can invest too. It doesn't need to be like one of those corporate America, Citibank and Janus and all these people that can only invest. What can you tell them to, give them a little step here?
the number one thing I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what your income bracket is when it comes to going to the stock market. Because you could always start somewhere. There's fractional share buying. You don't have to be, even if you don't have a lot of income, you could always buy a fraction of a share and still accumulate and still try to accumulate shares that way. You don't have to basically just, I have to have $10,000 or I can't get in the market. You don't really need X amount of money. When I first started, I remember my first investment was $3. $3. I was like, man, because we're trained to think, I guess, in a poverty mindset that we don't want to lose no money. Everything is supposed to be coming in and nothing's supposed to be coming out. So even $3, like I could lose $3, but I can't lose $5, or I could exactly. I had this weird little mindset that I had to basically get away from basically. But my first investment was like $3, and it been at the time was like for me it was the biggest thing ever. I put $3, and 2 days later I got $350. I'm like, oh snap! Imagine if I put $300. And I was like, it was like those small things was like crazy. I get people in my class, and they be like, "Oh my God, I made 10 cents today." I'm like, and now I'm like, 10 cents, really? But back then, like, oh my God, you just beat the bank. No bank can give you that for this $3 in your account.
For those that don't know, what is a fractional? I guess getting a fractional share.
A fractional share basically is a fraction of a share. Let's say instead of owning one actual share of Amazon or Best Buy or whatever company you decide to invest in, you own like 0.1 of a share, not even one share. And once you get to that, once you put enough money, if the share costs too much money, the more you put in, the more the value goes up, and eventually you own one whole share of any given company.
So like for instance, let's say to own a part of we'll just say Amazon. I'm not saying this is the actual amount for Amazon share. Let's just say it's $20, which would be probably a good price back in like 10 or 20 years ago. But so it's $20 for a share. So you can come in and say, look, man, all I can do is $1.
Yeah.
Right. And then all you do is you come in and say, I'm gonna purchase $1. And so you get a fraction of that share until you keep on investing until you get a full $20. If it stays that price of the share, and then you get the value of it. Exactly. And so I just want to make sure, because we're trying to do some 101 here. And so the point is that you don't need a lot of money to invest into the market. Or into, and I'm not going to go into Bitcoin yet, because that's another level of stuff, because I'm trying to learn about it to you, and I need to attend some of your classes if you talk about some Bitcoin. Please send me a link. I want to make sure to post it to my people too after this. First, it doesn't take a lot of money. So what's the next thing that they should understand?
One, if you're using, for me, the way I kind of teach it, if you're using a product, why not be making money off that product? I give enough money to Walmart. We all do give a lot of money to Walmart or Target, whatever company we decide to invest in. I want some cash back. I want some cash back. Like, this is slightly required. I want some cash back. I want something out of it. I tend to invest in things that I know. Like when I first started, I was a big gamer. I played a lot of games, a lot of Xbox, a lot of PlayStation stuff. And guess what I invested in? All spectrums of games. Because that's what I knew. I knew when they were coming out. I knew when people were going to go crazy for them. I knew all these things. I knew when they had a flaw in the system. All these different, and I started learning more about things that I like, basically. And at the time, I had like games. So one of the stock I had invested back in the day was Take-Two, which is TTWO. Not to give no free promotion for them, basically, but they are basically does Grand Theft and 2K and all the other different games. And because I saw value in those games that I played so much, and I saw, because of graphic and everything, they're going to be exceeding to another level. I said, man, I want to invest in that company. I guess a lot of people must have felt the same way I felt. Even that little bit of change I started putting in that company, over the course of, this company always goes up. If anybody look at it, they always been going up because gaming hasn't stopped. Every new generation, more kids, more people, it just increased over time. Plus marketing always gets better over the years.
Wow.
Invest in things that you starting off. It's not always the best course, but starting off, investing in things that you like, companies that you know about, or companies that you find interesting, because it's easier to read about things that you like, basically. I like game. I used to like a lot of gaming systems, so I used to have no problem reading about companies that's into gaming or learning about, hey, what this company is doing regarding this game or their company.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into cars, you know more about cars. Somebody may know more about cars than I do. So they might go, hey, this car is not good. This car is this good. This thing has a flawed system, or more people are buying this car, or they may know more stuff. So they may appreciate reading certain articles about a car or the value. You may see a future value on a car that you like that somebody else may not see. And like me and my partner, we all if you catch us on our chat, we always debating on certain things because there's certain viewpoints that he has because he's a little bit older than me. Certain viewpoints that he has about certain companies, certain stocks, and I have certain viewpoints. But we always say you're not right or wrong because that's your viewpoint, and I'm not right or wrong because that's my viewpoint. And at the end, time always tells who's right or who's wrong based on our opinion on any given stocks. So always invest in starting off, invest in things that you know, invest in things you like, and eventually it's gonna come second nature. If you have a passion for this, it's gonna come second nature. On my phone, I have non-stop notification regarding stocks. Anything, even with Fidelity, anything dealing with IPO offering, I get some type of notification email or a text message on my phone. Now I've come to a certain age that it's not even about reading things that I may be focused on or passionate about. It's more of, hey, this thing could produce more money, so I want to know more about this. Or hey, why is this company hot? Why is Tesla popping? Why is Bitcoin popping? I want to know why. And because my mind is wrapped around knowing why, I tend to more dig deep. And probably the third thing, besides not requiring money and starting off with investing in things that you use, the third thing would be don't overthink it. It's not as hard as people think it is. A lot of people try to think, oh my goodness, I have to think about this thing. I have to think about this thing. It's not as hard because the stock market is all mental, basically. It's a collective of people that deems any given company or any given commodity, whether it be Bitcoin or anything, give it a value. And once everybody decide this thing has value, supply and demand takes an effect, and the more people that buy it, the more the stock goes up. So it's not like this company automatically just became $1,000 a day, like Amazon. When we were in the military, we could buy Amazon for like $30, $20. Now it's like 3,000, some crazy number.
Yeah.
But it's not that this company is so amazing because everybody decide, oh, I like Amazon. Oh, they make it easier. Oh, this, oh that, and then eventually everybody start agreeing that this company, they like it and they value it. And because anything, it's like we go into a store or whatever, you start buying all the milk because you like this particular milk.
Yeah.
The company can't produce the milk enough, so you know what? We're gonna start raising the price so we can produce it more faster. So the price go up, and the price go up and the value go up because everybody start liking it. That's the third thing is, well, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Though. It's not as hard as people think it is.
Man. You know, I appreciate that because a lot of people think that it is very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And and I still think that it's complex, and I'm thank you for saying that, because you're helping me to understand much more about this situation. Now, you said a couple of you said some IPOs and some other definitions. I mean,
yeah, IPO is basically initial public offering. It's when a company, like, let me say, Fordson Labady decide, you know what, we are good at what we're doing at teaching people now, but because we want to get a little bit bigger than what we are now, we're gonna go public, which public is basically going into the stock market, putting my company on the line into the stock market for the masses to decide my value versus me, myself, decide my value. Because any given company, like I think Airbnb just went public into the stock market 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. They went to the stock market. They decided, you know what, they need to accumulate more money to do more of what they do. So they went into the stock market. People saw value in it, so they started buying it, which slowly increasing the price for right now. That's all IPO is initial public offering. The first time that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna put my mercy on everybody else's hand. My company could either become way more money, or everybody could decide this company not worth nothing, and it goes down in value.
So they put themselves out there publicly saying, hey, invest in us.
The investment.
And put your money in us, because we're a winning ticket, basically, to help you increase your money.
Yeah, your investment, basically.
Yeah, and in us, because we're going to increase in value.
Yeah.
So so that makes sense. Yeah, that is kind of scary. So, but I mean, Airbnb, they kind of proved their concept.
Yep.
So they proved that they're a lasting company, so they can take that risk to put themselves out there and say, hey, Walmart, they kind of proved themselves by going across the country.
Yep.
And that makes sense. I like the way you put it practically. If you value a company, and you're basically investing in them anyway, by buying their products.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, why don't you get your money back? You find value in that company, so why don't you put money into that company as well? On the other side, on the back end, I'm just saying it's the back end. In the front end, through the front door. In the back end, you can put the money, and as they increase in value, your money will increase in value. Like you say, get some cash back. That makes sense. That's a good way to see it. And you mentioned the TSP. That was my which is the thrift savings plan for federal employees, who anybody in the military, or anybody who's in the government. There's the TSP. Hey, it's happened before. I've interviewed other people, and the dogs come in, children come in, they become part of the interview. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, the TSP was my first venture into investing, because I was like, I don't want to know. I don't know how. And they're like, oh, well, just do it here. We will. At that time, I invested in when you put in a certain percentage, and they'll like double it, or not double it, well, they'll match it. It was like 6%. I was like, hey, you're gonna put money in? Hey, let's do it. No brainer to me. But I highly suggest. So Ford here has the knowledge that can make you successful when you first start out. Because when you started talking to me about the fractional investing, you don't have to go full on, and if something is
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. I said I don't want to bring that up. Bitcoin is it's interesting. It's interesting, and I'm slowly learning about that. But you never know. I might do some fractional investment with Bitcoin too. But it's truly interesting. So you had told me when we talked the other day that you have some, I guess, Zoom calls and some trainings.
Yes. Every Thursdays at 7 p.m. we have a group class that I basically tackle any given stocks that I'm looking at. I take on questions of what particular is bothering somebody. Like in my class, I ask them every single Wednesday or Thursday. I say, hey guys, what's what you want to learn in class today. And they decide, hey, you know what, we good. I must still mention something. Hey, do you know about this or do you know about that? Because even with me being in the stock market, it's always a learning experience. I've been doing this for well over 10 years now. Every single time I get in, I always learn something. Learn something about myself, learn something about a company. There's always something to learn because companies don't stay the same. Things don't stay the same. People don't stay the same. So, and their value in different products changes. It's like, I forgot that movie. I forgot that it was out of business. It was a movie.
Last Action Hero or something like that.
Yeah, people are exchanging from DVDs to CDs to MP3 players to cloud based. So people change, and every single Thursday I mention something. There's some stuff that's complex in the stock market, but the only time it gets kind of complex is when you get into option trading and using margin, which I don't recommend anybody to use margin, even though you can. I don't like to use margin. I like to use money that I have already in my account.
Look, man. Hey, when you say margarine, I'm thinking about that stuff you put on the bread. You know.
Margin is basically is just money that any broker or any company, your personal broker, your broker is basically the company that you use to invest on a stock, because they're basically the middleman. Back in the days, you could just say, hey, I go directly to Walmart and say, hey, I want to invest in you. But now they made it easier. They have a middleman, and the middleman is considered a broker, whether it's Fidelity, E-Trade, Ameritrade, and so many other brokers, Robinhood. So a margin basically is a company trusting you enough, whether it's because you have a lot of money in your account, you have a lot of equity in your account, your name mean a lot of value. So they know you have money, or they know you have future income constantly going into that account. Then they trust you with a set amount of money that, hey, you know what, we're giving you 5, 10,000, 2,000, whatever it is, the number is based on your account, that you could use to make X amount of money, and whatever profit you make, you get to keep it, but we only charge you whether it's 5% or 8% off the money you borrow, not the profit that you make. So if you actually make money, you get to keep a lot because you only give them what you borrow basically against. But if you lose that money, they have the right to take certain stuff off you basically. So if you invested in let's say Amazon, and you've been holding Amazon for a long time, and your money start going down, and they do something called a margin call, where they say, hey, you owe us this amount of money, you got X amount of days to pay us this day, and you do not meet that margin call by that date. Like credit card, you don't pay it by that date. Unlike credit card, where they say, hey, we're putting you on debt, we're putting you in collection. And you be like, oh, forget it. Put me in collection. I ain't worried about it. Nah, margin, with them, they be like, you know what? That Amazon stock you have look pretty nice. We'll take that for you.
Man. All right. Hey, that's a good tip right there. You know, yeah. So once you start getting it, don't do margin. That sounds a little.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky. I don't recommend it. You know, some people do use it. I don't like using it. I like using money that I have. It does put you certain leverage, but I don't like using it. I think it's better to use what you have, especially starting off with. Eventually, when you start learning it, you may take certain risks based that your account could tolerate. But at the beginning, only use money that you have. Even with this new world that we going into, where everybody's learning about the stock market and everybody want to invest, don't use money that you don't have. Use money that you have. There's other ways to make that money without using somebody else's money. Thing I said about option trading. Option trading is like, it's like a coupon basically, in a sense. Option is basically like a coupon for an X amount of shares. Every contract, which is option, every contract equal 100 shares. So instead of buying 100 shares of Amazon for $3,000 each share, you probably spend like, let's say, $600 on that contract. But that contract, it has a limit basically. Like I say, you know what? I think Amazon's gonna be $4,000 by the end of the year. then I will get a contract for $4,000, and I'm paying for the coupon, saying, hey, this stock is going to be above $4,000 by the end of the year, or at least close to $4,000 by the end of the year. Assuming the stock continues going towards my value, my coupon that I paid for worth more. It goes up in value because now it's the stock. Let's say the stock goes 5,000. I have this coupon that says I have the right to purchase this stock at 4,000, no matter what. The stock could go up to $20,000. They have to sell it to me at $4,000 because I bought this coupon ahead of time. So you're able to make more money off an option, of course, because of the power of leverage, because you actually have 100 shares that you have control of.
Wow.
Even though you, and that's a little bit, I don't want to complex it, but even though you don't actually own the 100 shares, you're making the money as if you own 100 shares, but you only own the coupon worth as of it. Now the downside is if the stock doesn't go that way, that money that you spent goes down in value because the coupon starts working less and less and less because the stock is worth $5. Nobody want to pay for a $4,000 coupon. Buy this thing at $4,000 when the thing is only.
Wow, so that's kind of like you're trying to predict the future almost.
It basically, yeah, because that's
buying
the
option.
Yeah, you're basically predicting the future, and you can make money. Like I tell people always get scared. What if the market goes down? The market goes down every day, all day, up, down, no matter what. You could make money when the stock goes up in options. You could make money when the stock goes down in option. You could make money if the stock doesn't move at all in options. The stock stays at one price the whole entire time and doesn't move. And you can make money off of options.
Yeah, so it's almost like I don't want to confuse the two, but like when you're buying a
call.
I don't want to say buying like a not buying. You kind of are buying, but like a loan. You know, you can do a fixed loan, or you can do a flexible loan or whatever. Yeah. But when you buy or when you get a fixed loan, the percentage stays the same.
Yeah,
but that's kind of different.
With option, it's not like you don't have to pay anything extra. Whatever you pay is what you pay. There is some crazy option where you can pay more, but for the most part, what I teach is like you have a set amount of money, whatever you put in, that's the max you could lose on. You can't lose no extra amount, but that's the max you could lose. So if you put $50, the max you could lose $50, but the gain potential is infinite. But the max you can lose $50. And the same thing for if you think the stock is going to go down, you have the max you can lose at. So because when you bidding the stock to go down, you buying that same well, it's not buying a coupon. You're selling a coupon to somebody at a certain price at that date, assuming that stock is going to go down. And the way that works is like, it's like me going to you and say, hey, I'm gonna sell you this phone. It's worth currently right now. It's worth $700, right? I say, you know what? I'll sell you this phone for $700, and at the end of the year, and then something happens at the end of the year. But it's like selling this phone, but I don't have the phone yet. I'm just borrowing this from somebody else. So I promise you, I'm selling you this type of phone at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, this phone basically is worth $2, right? But you already agreed that you're gonna buy it from me for $700. So I basically, in a sense, you give me $700 and I go buy it for $2 and give you your phone, basically. I pay $2 for.
But the opposite could be at the end of the year. It could be worth
$2,000, but I still owe you a phone. And I stole you the same phone
for $700.
But $700. But the max you can lose is that initial purchase, which is $700.
Man, that's something else, man. that is some serious leverage.
Exactly.
But again, when you do that, that's a type of purchasing investment.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do an option. That's just, you can, if you got it like that, you're like, yeah, I want that stock. I'm going to buy it a year from now for $1,000.
Yeah. And you And even with option, you don't even need that much money, truthfully. Like somebody posted in my group recently. I don't know who the account it is. They purchased it was game. I think it was GameStop or no, it was General Motors. General Motors. You know they just come out with this. They're doing electric vehicles now, and they have a flying vehicle in the making, a flying Cadillac in the making. Yeah.
Woo.
I don't know. That's what they say. That's what they said. That's what they said. We got a flying Cadillac in the making, and this guy, when the market had crashed, he bought a couple options saying the stock's gonna be above $30 by the end of the year, by the beginning of this year, basically. So it's gonna be above $30, and the stock was like went out to like almost $9 or $10, some crazy number. And that option, he only paid $18 for it, but he bought a lot of them, like $18 per option, and he bought a lot of them. I think he bought like $2,000 worth of them, so each $18 basically. Right now, the stock is well over $30 right now because it recovered and the whole market went up. And his that person's account was like $2 million off that transaction alone. Even though it was like $18, but because of IV implied volatility and everything else, the option itself is worth so much because that $2,000 that he invested in a year, well, in March, while everybody was panicking selling, he was like, hey, it's gonna be worth this much back. And $18, spent $2,000, that's $2 million. I'm like, what? Everybody was like, this guy, what was he thinking when he got in this? But some people, their brain is wired that way. Like they saw value in that stock, even though everybody was panicking, they still saw the value.
Guys, look, hey, can you see the power of investing? And hey, truthfully, it can be scary. It can be scary, but if you have the right kind of people to help you, like Ford, to help you get some wisdom, get some guidance, get some knowledge about how to invest and how to invest properly, learning some of these definitions and how to look at the markets like he knows, you can start investing yourself. And like you said, you don't need to start, you don't need to jump all in with your whole bank account, but you can get your foot in the waters, and he can show you how to go, to each level, and just, hey, do a little here, do a little there. And then once you get used to the waters, you can start doing a little bit more.
Exactly.
All right, Ford, I love this. You're giving a lot of value to our audience here. But if they want to reach out to you, get involved in one of your training courses or get coaching from you, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
They can reach me at Fordson Labady on Facebook. Send me a message, or Instagram, which is Fordson Labady, also on Instagram. If you want to do simple by text message, if you want to have a one-on-one versus a group learning class, you can message me directly on my phone. Shoot me a text, and that's more for a one-on-one. If you want to skip the group environment and you want to just go fast track into the stock market and head directly to it. But other than that, Facebook, I'm really responsive. I really respond pretty quickly on Facebook. Shoot me a DM, a message, and I'll respond pretty quickly. You got Instagram, shoot me a message on Instagram also. I respond quickly. Those are pretty much the two ways. I also got my business partner, which you could also reach out to. It's Wilhelm Joseph. That's WIL space HELM Joseph JOSEPH.
Oh man, again, Ford, thank you again for coming on. Thank you for giving so much value to our people about investing. And before we go, is there any final last words that you want to give to the audience about investing?
Yes. The number one thing I would like to tell people is invest in yourself. Leave a legacy behind. It's never too late. It's literally never too late. And it doesn't matter where you come from, because when you step foot in the stock market, everybody's equal. And like I said, it's just keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it focused, and invest in your future. What imagine if you had invested in Bitcoin, Amazon, Google, Facebook, which back in the days I was a novice. I was one of the guys in military that invested in Facebook when it was $17. Facebook is well over $200 now. But I had sold my position early, but but invest, invest, invest. It will pay out. It will pay out. It will pay out later on. Stock market is a journey. It's not a race. And stay focused.
Amen. Man, those are some wise words, because sometimes people want those quick gains, and for those people that know how to do that day trading stuff, they're that's all they live that. But I know that investing, just like when I do in real estate, it's a long-term investment. You have to go for the long game, because the long game is where you make it. And fortunately, I started investing early in real estate, and it helped me to retire with extra income. But we can talk about that later. But again, thank you guys.
I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you up because I want to know more about real estate as well.
Hey, you know what? I would love to share everything, because that's almost, it's like investing. It's just like investing, but you actually, you can work with it a little bit hands-on and get it. Sometimes you can get a quicker return. Sometimes you have to do a longer. It's just like investing in the stock market. Some you take for short term, some you do the long haul, and it's just all how your knowledge base, understanding that it is possible, just like you've shown us today. It is possible for anybody to invest in the stock market and in other investments out there. We just got to have the knowledge and have people like you that can help us do it correctly and more efficiently, and with less risk. When you have a coach like Ford, you have less risk, But again, thank you. And guys, we appreciate you coming on, and thank you for joining us. Don't forget to leave your comments and send us some DMs. Definitely message Ford and get in one of his classes. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it.
Hey guys, we're talking about finances here, so we got to go over a disclaimer. All information and content on this podcast from the website or from Green Monster Investments LLC should be viewed as educational only. Although the author, Green Monster Investment LLC, and its contributors believe the information and contents to be accurate, we neither guarantee nor their accuracy nor assume any liability errors. The concepts and methodologies introduced should be used to stimulate intellectual trading decisions. Any mention of profits should be considered hypothetical and may not reflect slippage, liquidity, and fees in live training. Unless otherwise stated, all illustrations are made with the benefit of hindsight. There is risk of loss as well as profit in trading. It should be noted and presumed that the methods presented in this website or the podcast or from materials obtained from this website in any manner will be profitable, or they may not result in any losses. Past performances is not guaranteed for future results. It is the responsibility of each trader to determine their own financial stability. Green Monster Investments LLC cannot be held responsible for any direct or indirect loss incurred by applying any of its information obtained here or any platform of their own or entity of Green Monster LLC or members are part of, and also a part of this podcast. This is just for informational purposes. All right, guys. So here's a U.S. government required disclaimer. Commodity Future Trading Commission futures and options trading has large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in futures and options markets. This is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell futures or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on the website or in this podcast. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Green Monster Investments LLC are not registered financial investment advisors, securities broker dealers, or brokers of U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or with any state security regulatory authority. We recommend consulting with registered investment advisors, broker-dealers, and or financial advisors. If you choose to invest with or without seeking advice, and the consequences of resulting from your investments are solely your responsibility.